Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, That's Ready Homeschool. My name is Mrs. T, and today we have a Q&A. Now I'm hoping that I can get this done in one part, but if I need to split it out because it's getting too long, I'll put part 2 out tomorrow. All right, question number 1, are you going to be doing a spring break? Yes, we are. It is not going to line up with when public schools are doing spring break. I definitely feel like we are ready for a break, but at the end of the month, we have a vacation planned. So we'll be doing a vacation at the end of March and just enjoying springtime that has already been planned. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be our first vacation in a while, I think since August. So looking forward to it. It's local, it's drivable, it's nothing crazy, but it'll be a fun little thing to do. All right, question 2. How do you hear about, then research, and then select different curriculum? Okay, this is actually, I feel like this will take a lot more details than what I can answer briefly in a Q&A. So comment below if you want more information. But a lot of what I hear about for YouTube comes through different resources, sometimes different books. One of my favorite ones that I've gotten a number of resources from is How to Homeschool the Kids You Have. That has showed me some good things to start looking into. YouTube is obviously a really big place where I hear about different curriculums. So I will, consider curriculum that I hear from YouTube. Also word of mouth through different people who are homeschooling locally. I have definitely had some conversations about things. But basically, regardless of where I hear it from for the first time, is I put it down in a big list. I have like a Google sheet that's running. And then what I do when I'm ready to look for a new piece of curriculum, I have started my Google search specifically into those. Now, How to Homeschool the Kids You Have actually breaks down a really good guide on how they recommend finding curriculum. And I'm not going to say what I did previously because it was kind of willy-nilly. I basically just, I just kind of like, oh yeah, this looks great, let's try it. And I kind of just ran with it. And that was definitely not the best fit. I should have done more research regarding who is putting out the curriculum, as well as, looking at the cost, the expertise, the timelines, the grab and go, the scripted aspects of it. There are a lot of things that I wish I considered early on. But for first grade, I tried to follow the guide in that book. And then I choose based on what I think, just a number of different factors. What I think we're ready for, things that interest me and my kids. But also, I guess there's like this component too where I'm trying to still figure out how to select things best for our family. So I know that was really kind of wishy-washy. Let me know if you want more information on that one in the comments. All right, number 3 here. How's the French learning coming along? It's coming along pretty well. However, it is a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. I'm really glad that we're introducing French here in the kindergarten year, but I feel like next year is when we're really going to start bunkering down and honing in on those French skills and being more consistent. I have been struggling a little bit with making this a core subject, which is what I really wanted to do for kindergarten, but it's just been difficult because I found that when we pulled in French, something else was falling off the table. And I find that right now I had to kind of reprioritize, where it was like, okay, we need to work on that exposure and the consistency, but it's not going to be an everyday thing. We just don't have the time. And I think it's more has to do with the readiness for my older child to sit down for so many subjects. So we will get to more consistent French, or I would say like more often French frequency, higher frequency than we are doing right now, but it is going well and we are learning and we are retaining, which is really nice. All right, question 4. How do you incorporate activities outside your house, like library, doctor's appointments, etc., with your homeschool routine? Okay, so library is actually definitely a part of our routine. We go at least once a week. And basically, anytime that we finish our core activities, I kind of take a look, or core subjects, not activities, I take a look at what my kids are doing and how we are faring for the day. And oftentimes, depending on what we have planned, if we need to get out, the library is our go-to. There's a park right next door to the library, so we get some good outdoor time and we get to go to the library, get to find some books, we get to enjoy story time and things like that. So I actually do incorporate that very intentionally into our school day. Now, there are other activities that we do. We do karate, martial arts, and we also do piano, and we regularly meet up with 2 different families every week. And so every single day, more or less, we have something planned that we just we're ready for. We're planned and we've created this routine to incorporate those activities. Now, for things like doctor's appointments, honestly, you guys, we just do shorter days. I don't try to squish in a full day of work because my thinking here is if my kid was at public school, I'd be taking him out for doctor's appointments and he'd be coming in and he still has school, right? Like it's an excused absence. And I do the same thing. It's like we only go to the doctor once a year and the dentist twice a year. It's okay that we have shortened days that day if it happens to be that way when we actually do our appointments. So yeah, I'm okay with shortened days every once in a while. Okay, number 5. How or will you do the blocks or waves again? And do you think it's gotten into a good enough routine now? So right now we do kind of these blocks of school. So like block 1, for example, might incorporate like handwriting and math. So we usually do that block first. Then we take a play break. Then we do our phonics block, and then we kind of break things into chunks. And that's really, really helpful. And I don't foresee us changing it right now because it's working and it's a consistent routine. And my kids basically know now, like, okay, if we're sitting down in this block, these are the things that we're doing. And I definitely get less pushback the more consistent that I am. So we will definitely be just continuing it. And then if things start needing a change, whether it be, our content is changing that we are consuming for our curriculum, or maybe my kids just need things to be a little different, at that point we will evaluate what will be changing. But right now it's working, so I'm not gonna change it yet. Okay, number 6, what do you do to motivate when they don't want to sit down and do school? All right, so I'm kind of lucky at this point in time. I've not had a huge amount of pushback, but I think the reason I don't really have a lot of pushback is not because my kids are unique or, crazy. Like they love school, because I mean they'll do it, but I'm not gonna say like they're sitting here like, oh, let's do math, right? But I think consistency for us has been absolutely key. Like my child knows, like when mom says it's time for us to do math, like we consistently do math. Now I do give them the option. We have homeschool rules, and basically the idea here is we're ready, we're patient, we're positive, and we're kind when we start school. And if I see that my child is not feeling that way, I don't try to push school immediately. What I do is I remind him of what our rule is and say, okay, we're getting ready to do our handwriting and math block. But it doesn't look like you're feeling patient right now, or maybe you're not feeling ready. Let's take 10 minutes. You choose what we do for the 10 minutes, and I give him a list of different things he can choose to do. So sometimes he'll choose to play bells, he'll keep playing, he'll eat a snack, he'll use the restroom, and basically that extra 10 minutes makes a world of difference. The other thing that's really handy at this age is really letting them know that school is coming. So for example, if they are, just hanging out and school starting in 15 minutes, I usually tell them, all right, it's 15 minutes before school starts, it's 10 minutes, and it's 5 minutes. I usually give them a couple of warnings, and at this age, it's working well. The other thing that I don't really do, I've got a kindergartner and a preschooler, is I never really interrupt focused play. Now, if they are just being like rowdy and ridiculous, that's different. But if they are really focused, let's say they're building something on Legos and they're really wrapped up in it, I will not interrupt that to start school, because I think of how I would feel if I was really engrossed in something and my boss came in and was like, all right, you're done with that, move on, let's go, next thing. It'd be very disruptive and it would make me not feel very good. So I try to respect them when they're really focused on a task. It's different than them just being crazy hooligans and running around. It's a certain mindset, a certain kind of focus I try not to interrupt. And considering all those things, we've had some really good success with my child not being too unmotivated. Oh, I guess I'll say one other thing. Sometimes with phonics, what I will do when I notice that my child is probably going to not want to do phonics is I try to anticipate when they might need a little something extra. So for example, my kids we do not have a lot of candy in our house, but I will pull out mini M&Ms to motivate them sometimes without them asking. Like, it's not an everyday thing, it's not a frequent thing, but sometimes I'll be like, okay, you guys, we're gonna do phonics, but today we're gonna do M&Ms. Let's have it an M&M phonics day. And they get so excited and they definitely do more. Or I'll get out fake coins and I tell them that they have to earn these coins so they can go shopping afterwards. And we do fake shopping. We have like a fake storefront that we will play. And that's a really fun way to motivate it as well. So kind of turning it into something that they can earn, but not because they ask. Like if my child asks to do M&Ms or something, I usually say, no, it's not today. It's not on today's list, because I don't want it to be where the expectation is they can ask for rewards. You know what I mean? I want it to be a little bit, I don't know, fun and not driven by them. Okay, next one here is, do you have a separate homeschool room or space? No, I do not. We do is we have a lifetime short table. It's like a little square that you fold out. We have some lifetime chairs for kids, and we take it down and put it together every single day. And that's also one of the things that they kind of know, like school's about to start, 5-minute warning. I will be like, that's when I start to get the table out. But we do most of our school, if not all of our school, on this table in our front room. The only time that we don't is when we need the flat kitchen table. Like art, we will always do at the kitchen table because it's flat. And the lifetime table is a little bit bumpy. So if he has a page that's going directly on the table, we'll have to be at the kitchen table. But we have all of our stuff in certain areas. So the room that I'm in right now has almost all of our homeschool stuff that we don't use every day. And then all the stuff that we use every day is actually in the kitchen above our, or like our dining area. We have kids' bookshelves over there, and we have all of that stuff organized. So it's all easy to grab and go, and we turn that living room space into our homeschooling space when we're ready. All right, do you plan to incorporate any field trips or outside activities in your homeschool? Yes, and we do all the time. Not every week, but we definitely go outside every single day. We frequently go to the park, and we do frequently visit. We have a children's museum not too far. It's a little bit of a drive, but not too far. We do frequent that one. We frequent state parks. And this upcoming year, I think for my first and pre-kindergarten year, I think we're gonna go to the firehouse, the fire station. I did talk to them about what we can do to do a tour, and I think we're gonna be doing that next probably like fall time frame with some other homeschooling families that we're friends with. So that will be like a big one. But we have done zoo. We have like an aquarium that we are going to be going to as well. It's not close, but we do definitely plan exploration. And I think that that's really fun for us to do. But I do try to keep them like for example, I try to keep them a little bit more affordable in the sense of like the children's museum that we go to, it's if we buy a year pass, if we go 3 times, it's worth our money. So we try to go to that probably like twice a month. And that's been like, I don't know, it feels good. And then we're getting used to all the same stuff, and I don't know, they enjoy it. But yes, we do that stuff all the time. Okay, any games your kids are liking at their ages and stages right now? Absolutely. We love board games. Oh my goodness. So I actually just asked about this with my kid the other day. My older one, who is 5.5, really likes Pokemon right now. We're playing Pokemon the card game. He needs help reading the cards, but he's really good at the strategy of that one. He enjoys that one. Both of my kids chose Dragonwood, the dice variation of this game. They really enjoy it. We play it as a family and we do teams. So dad will go with one kid, I will go with the other one, and we play kind of competitively, but we don't keep points with, we don't like add up our points at the end. Like they actually don't even know that it's supposed to be competitive. They just kind of try to go after the same cards, and it's like, to them, there are many victories rather than like a victory for the full game. We also love playing Castle Panic as a family. That one does take a little bit more setup, but it's very enjoyable. And those are the ones we typically do as, I would say, a family. Now, there are definitely more that are, I'll say, more geared towards children, like their actual ages that they love and enjoy. We like, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. There's a chess game. Storytime chess, like Storytime chess. We do that one frequently, and we actually have gone through all the stories and we're going through it again. So we're learning chess that they like. They also like, there's a dragon domino game. I'll put a picture of it here that my younger one in particular enjoys. He is 3, almost 4. He really likes that one. But yeah, we have a lot of games that we do enjoy, and we do play a lot of games as a family. And I have noticed that my older child, not both of them, but my older child's math has really improved with a lot of these games. You know, it's just, there's so much natural math that goes into those. And then reading, because he wants to try to read a lot of the cards and like surprise me. And he likes to strategize, and it's harder to do that when you can't read. So he is definitely, he's definitely learning a lot from games. All right. How do you evaluate gaps? So I talked about with my math, this question came about when I was talking about math, how we were using Matthew C. Primer and we were using mathematical reasoning, but I noticed some gaps. For example, my child's writing, I felt like could use a little bit more, like guided writing practice could use a little bit more work with numbers. Things like telling time, I thought he could use numbers. And basically, I know it's not the end all be all, but what I do is I look at my states. They have an outline of what they cover per grade level in the public school system for different subjects. So for example, in math, I noticed that for the kindergarten level, they talk about solid shapes versus two-dimensional shapes. And Matthew C. Primer, for example, does not even touch on this subject, and it's very briefly talked about and mentioned in mathematical reasoning. Now, ultimately, you guys, we intend to homeschool. Obviously, we love it, but I do want him still to be relatively aligned with his peers, because we don't know if life is going to happen in a way that we aren't expecting, and maybe my child needs to go to school, or maybe he expresses that interest, and I don't want him to have gaps compared to his peers in those subjects. Doesn't mean that I'm going to approach teaching those subjects all the same, but I do want to make sure we touch base on what is covered in the public school. So I guess that's what I meant by evaluate gaps, as I started to notice that there were some things that weren't covered in that Matthew C. program. And I think that's based on how it's designed, as the specific style of curriculum that is. That means if you do transfer over to a public school, there will be some things that your child does not talk about. So that's why we actually pulled in math with confidence. And then I also, like the shape thing, I just have been a little bit more intentional about talking about that in conversation rather than relying on a curriculum. Okay, next one. How do you balance homeschooling to young kids? I feel like this could be a video in and of itself. There are some people out here who have like quite a few children, and the fact that they can balance them all, I'm like, that is amazing. But for me, I would say the biggest thing that I do is I set up things for my youngest to do while my oldest is doing school, and vice versa. So we always do the waves at the same time. I talked about that earlier. So we have, or like our blocks. So for example, if we're doing handwriting and math, I don't care who I start with. They will normally choose. But let's say I'm starting with my kindergartner. I would say I will start him with his handwriting, and while he's doing his handwriting, which I don't have to like sit there and guide at this point in time, what I'll do is I'll set up an activity for preschooler. Usually it's like Play-Doh or sand, beans for him to play in. Sometimes I'll get his cars and I'll set up different like parking lot, or I'll get out the we have like a train track, I'll get that out. So I give him a task to do, and then I go to his older brother and I go back, and now I'm focusing on him and him only. And then that same activity that preschooler does, I usually try to do a variation for kindergartner. So I'll get kindergartner ready when he is done before starting preschooler. But also preschooler is only sitting down for like 5 to 10 minute chunks. He's not sitting down for a long period of time in one block. My kindergartner sits down for about 20 minutes. So it's not too bad, but also breaking it out in waves is like it's an absolute game changer, because it's not like I have to sit there and distract my kindergartner for an hour or my preschooler for an hour while I'm trying to get a lot of work done. So I do try to kind of break things up in that way. But another one is snacks. So I will often, like maybe while a younger child is doing phonics, older kid will eat a snack, and then vice versa. And because we're in the front room, I can still see both kids. It's not like, it's not anything crazy. I might put my older child in with a Tony. We listen to audiobooks on Tony with headphones, so he can listen to that while eating his snack while I'm working on phonics. And yeah, it works well. It works well. Okay, how do you find a balance between schoolwork, playtime, and taking them to outside activities? Again, that block schedule is really working very well. and just consistency, but also prioritizing. Like, to me, play is equally as important as school and curriculum, and being outside is as important as well. So prioritizing all of them. Like, there are definitely times where I'm like, okay, we have to get outside. We haven't done phonics, we haven't done social studies, but we have to get outside. So I put those second and prioritize being outside, and that makes a world of difference too. Like, not just going outside as a reward, not just having play come after school is really important. And there are times too where I'm like, okay, we need to do XYZ thing for school, but I feel like my kids haven't had a lot of focus play. I might intentionally guide them to focus play before we move on to the next bit of school. I find like that just really helps for them to have these activities. So making that part of school and not making play and outdoor time second to school has been really important in our family. Okay, we're getting near the end here, so maybe this can all be one video. This is great. Okay, what is your favorite curriculum, book, or program so far? Oh, that's really hard. What is my favorite one so far? So I really enjoyed Matthew C. with my older child. When he finished that program, it was such absolute joy. He was so proud of himself. So I really enjoyed working through that. We both felt really accomplished at the end of it. But from a teaching perspective, I would say I really like core knowledge. It is a little bit involved, and it has taken me a little while to find our groove with core knowledge. We're using it for science and social studies, but it has been so enjoyable to teach so far, and I really look forward to it. And my child really does enjoy the core knowledge content. So I would actually say that one I really, really enjoy. I'm really surprised how much I like core knowledge, but we do really enjoy core knowledge. Okay, this is the last one. What are you most excited about for next school year? I think I'm just excited to continue. I am really excited to use like homeschool languages. They're French level 1. Like, I'm really excited to try out that program. I'm also really excited about lightning literature. I couldn't remember what it was called for a second. But lightning literature, I'm really excited to use that. But I'm also just looking forward to exploring more books. We've been making our way through chapter books this year, and that's been so enjoyable. But I've picked out the books for next year that we're going to be doing, and I'm like really, really excited to read some of these. And I've noticed that my kids are also really excited. Like, my younger one, for example, I picked up My Neighbor Totoro. He keeps coming in and pulling the book from this pile and like flipping through it because there's some pictures. So I'm just really excited to jump right into it. We actually might do that one earlier than next year just because he is so excited. But anyway, you guys, that is my Q&A. If you guys have any other questions, comment down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Let me know what you guys think. If you're still here, please subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Have a good day, you guys. Bye-bye.